Oh my gosh. So we are here in part two. Oh, I love it. I love it. All right. I'm Tanya Patxot. I'm the founder of the Genesis Network. This guy is too funny. Um, my beloved friend. He's awesome. I've known him for many, many years. We known each other as little kids. And it's really cool to see this wonderful man transform and what God has done in his life. He is an author, teacher, and speaker, Micahel Crabbe. And I feel like I'm honored and humbled to be like, into the stage we call. Oh my gosh. And we say, hooray. Really cool to be in your presence and to really see where God is taking you and your message and men. And I know you have a heart for restoring men and fatherhood, and it's really cool to see that. We had part one, and now we're going into part two. And I'm putting him on the spot because we were talking about in the last episode, there was a point in time, and I'll let him talk about the story, where his mom told him he couldn't cry, and he had to kind of man up, and because she needed him, and we talked about how women tend to do that. I'll leave that there. You can go to that episode, and we'll kind of continue here. But and then the other part was love, how the Word of God talks about how a man should love his wife, and I think it's really difficult for men to do that, the 1 Corinthians 13 kind of way.
Sure, yes.
Love is patient, kind, and it's not boastful, it's not envious, it's not self-seeking, right? It doesn't take record of wrongs, all those things. And for women, it talks about the humbling and the respect and the submission, and I think that's a big thing too for women. So the Word of God is actually telling us our issues that we're going to have. And I believe that when we're operating in the marketplace and business, you have to have your home in order, and it's going to show no matter what you do and how you communicate with people. And so that's why we're talking about this. It's really important to have that. So go ahead and tell us about your mom situation, and then talk about the love. I know I'm putting you on the spot.
No, I appreciate it, because I'm certain other young men have gone through something similar, especially if they had a single mom. In that moment, again, I think I was 18 or 19. I'm a young parent. I had a daughter a week after my 18th birthday, and I was depressed and scared and fearful and anxious and all these things. And I started crying. I broke down one night, and my mom's there, and she says, you gotta stop all that crying. I need you to be the man of this house. If I can't count on you to do it, who's gonna do it? And then she got up and walked away. It wasn't a hug and a consoling and it's gonna be all right, son. It was, wow, like I said, man up. I didn't want to. I wanted to go to parties and have fun, and I'm 18, let me go to spring break or something. So there was this growing up and this maturing that had to come speedily. The spirit had to be quickened. And it was begrudgingly, I didn't want to grow up so fast. But in that moment, I had to make a decision to do just that. And I did.
But was it your mother? What was it that really got you? Was it the fact that, yes, as a parent, you're going to have to man up, okay? It is what it is. But I think the thing that gets me is the other part, where she says, you got to be the man of the house. That part right there, that's not your role. You are her son. So right. What happened at that moment? Did you not realize? What did that do?
I wasn't mature or intelligent enough to make that rationalization of, no, wait, that's not my role. That's not my job. Instead, I took on the role. I felt compelled. I mean, this is my mama. You know, I'll do anything for this lady. Yeah. Oh, all right, mama. Okay, mama. You know, I was an obedient. Well, for the most part, I was an obedient son. So psychologically, yeah, it kind of messed with me a bit. But now I look back and see she was just doing. She knew no other way to teach me manhood but to just thrust me into manhood and be like, boy, you got to do this. You got to do this. And honestly, the word of God was not strong in her at that time. So she couldn't give me that route. She couldn't give me that way. She couldn't give me that word. So she gave me what she could give me. And that was strong push, but strong support. And so yeah, that really forwarded my thinking. I became a forward thinker, forward planner. But yeah, it it shook me. It shook me for sure. Because I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared for it. I wasn't. I didn't have the tools.
So
I wasn't given the tools.
So now what, obviously having to, like we talked in the last episode, having to try to find it and go through that process. So now we're at love. God's love. Not this, there's different forms of love. We obviously get, there's that affectionate and all that other stuff. But I know we've talked and we've spoken about how you came to yourself. I don't know if you want to share that part, but let's talk about the love part.
I love to talk about the love part.
I saw that.
I love to talk about the love. Where do we begin?
I'm talking about from a man's perspective. Like when your wife is unlovable, when your lady, when your mother, when your people, like they're unlovable. They're not, like God obviously said there was going to be a struggle for men to love in the way that he wants them to love, that we're required to love.
Well,
why do you think that?
Easy peasy. I'm so, as my pastor would say, I'm so glad you asked. I'm so happy. I just love what I do.
Oh God.
First relationship that matters with a man. It ain't his relationship with his mother or his daddy. The relationship with God and the relationship with himself. The very first relationship that needs to be established, that needs to be known, that needs to be worked. Right? You got to work that relationship with God. You got to work that relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
Inner work.
Yes.
Right? So what does the quote say? Man who doesn't love himself can love nobody else. So like, it's so hard for a man to love in that way is because he don't love himself in that way. He don't love God in that way. Right? And so because he doesn't and hasn't completely surrendered his own self to God, he can't surrender himself to his woman. Because yes, it tells the woman to submit to the man, but it also tells the man to submit to the woman in the Bible. So there's this mutual reciprocity, this mutual understanding, this mutual, this common ground. And that common ground got to be Jesus. That has to be the foundation, right? It can't be a house on shaky ground or built on sand. And so a man, as you like to go like this with that alignment.
Yeah.
If he's focusing here on him and his lady, but he ain't got this right, it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. So when we talk about love, is he pouring out of an empty bucket? Who's pouring into the man? It can't just be his lady. Because what? He's going to become dependent on that lady. And if she ain't meeting that need, oh, it's going to be some toxic problems up in the house. oh, it's going to be some problem.
But also, you know what? Even with the lady giving, when they get to that place, when anybody gets to that place of familiarity, when they get to that place of, you know, looking at the negative more than the positive, you're going to miss the love. You're going to miss the good things. You're going to miss all that. And then it's a wrap. But like, do you think that the fact that God, Jesus, Holy Spirit is looked at as a male figure, do you think that has absolutely anything to do with the fact that you as a man can surrender?
Hold on a second.
Like, you not having the father figure, was it hard for you to surrender to God because he's male? No?
Nope. Because I wanted so desperately to be taught by a man. Or just taught. Teach me. My mother couldn't teach me what she didn't know. And no one else around me knew. Or if they did, they didn't tell me.
Yeah.
Or I didn't know how to ask. So I willingly came. I volunteer as tribute. Like, let me come sit at the master's feet. Give me some of that wisdom. And so, does a man want to be corrected? Most men don't want to be corrected. And so, a man who avoids rebuke doesn't come to knowledge. A man who avoids correction is stupid, as the Bible says, Proverbs.
But the woman can't do it. If your man is not at that point where you know that this is off, ladies, I'm going to just recommend that you get on your knees, you fast, you pray, and you operate in a different way, and you don't try to bring that to him, because you will look like the bad guy. I mean, that's just... You're
going to be public enemy number one.
Yes, because you're looked at, you're supposed to be a safe place. Right. And then what happens is the minute that you tell him, he's starting to be like, wait, and he's not wanting rebuke. So now you're not that safe place, no matter whether you're speaking truth, no matter how much you love him, no matter how much you see it more than he does, and you want to get him there. It's like God has to do the work. Like God has to strip him, bring him to his knees, and let him say, nothing that you do, no decision that you make is going to work unless you got this together. You know, do you know what I mean? Like, he's going to keep running.
Yeah, you just answered the question. Like, that's why men stop short of their own glory. It's that stripping. No one really wants to volunteer for the dark night of the soul, okay? No one wants to really volunteer to go into the burning furnace so that the impurities can be burned away and come out in pure gold. Like,
no, it sucks.
It sucks.
We were talking about that. We were talking.
I gotta look at all my selfishness.
Yeah.
All my errors. Oh, I gotta own all my stuff. I gotta take accountability and responsibility for all my choices. I gotta take accountability and responsibility for all this pain I brought on myself.
And you can't just say sorry. There has to be. I've gotten these apologies from people. Like, sometimes, like, you know the difference. You know, when they're like, I'm so sorry I did this to you. And then there's the other one where you feel the repentive heart, where you know it's God and they broke them and they repented and they're there. Now that is where you got to be. And so sometimes you just like, okay. But the fact that they got that far is good. But you know that there's more to come. It's so interesting how that goes. But I remember when we were talking, and like, we had to get to the point that we were like, we stripped ourselves because of our decisions. And we talked about even to the point of like suicide and all this other stuff. And man, you don't want to walk through it, because
you will come to the end of yourself. Here's the thing. When you get to the end of yourself, if you ask a question like, who am I, or what am I doing here, and whatever, you start the self-seeking journey or the self-love journey. And you start going inside and you go through all the illusion, you go through all that you are not, so that you can get to what you are. And then you get there and then you find nothing, or you find everything. And that's either going to be terrifying or beautiful. To realize that you are dust of the earth. But that being the dust of the earth makes you everything. It's a realization. Man has to remember his lineage of manhood. What other men do I come from, right? And then when you look at the model of a man and look at the man you are, you can begin to say, okay, now I see I've fallen short of the glory of God. Let me straighten my way. But if man doesn't look at himself, no one gets out of prison unless you first see that you're in one. So he can't begin to love until he can see how he's unloving. He can't begin to submit to a woman until he's able to see where there's so much resistance in himself, where he holds himself back from the fullness of knowing what it means to have union with his wife, with his lover. How are you going to experience union with somebody else? You ain't got union with you.
Come on now. I've been on both sides. And I totally get it. I totally get it.
Looking for love in all the wrong places. And so we get with someone hoping that they'll be that one to our happily ever after, if you will.
Yeah.
And we want to believe that, right? That someone's going to be our forever.
Yeah.
But then you have to ask yourself, what on earth, what in nature is forever? I mean, the sun's been here a while, the same sky. Some things are forever, but we begin to see it's just the love. Whether you stay or whether you go, whether you're in the body or whether you're outside of the body. Heck, the Bible says to be absent the body is to be in the presence of the Lord.
Yeah. Come on.
So how can I experience the Lord now? I'm not trying to wait till I die.
For real.
So in order to experience union with myself, in order to experience union with my wife, with my helpmate, I have to go beyond the body. I have to see you beyond the body, beyond your mind, beyond your past, beyond all things.
Yeah.
Then I could connect with you. Then I could meet you in the field beyond time and space. Then I could meet you in the vast field where God abides, where love abides, where I don't know where I begin and you end.
Oh, geez. That's now, and the only way you can have that is if God is in that three-stranded cord.
Come on.
Like, come on.
And every time I meet someone, every relationship I meet, where they're like, this is happening, first question I ask, tell me about your prayer life. Oh, it get real quiet. They start scratching their head, looking around, looking down.
Come on. And we had that conversation about how women, you set the atmosphere in your home. You're the intercessor in your home. You create that atmosphere. And so I remember, it's like, fighting with my husband or whatever. And it's kind of like, instead of taking the prayer or taking the battle where it needed to be, and realizing that there is a spiritual aspect to it. We forget that. Sometimes, like, I would be this intercessor in church and I'd be all praying and going all crazy because I'm praying over church issues. But then when it came to my home, I was so unfocused. I was like, oh, God will take care of me because I'm taking care of, the church. And do you know what I mean? And forget so much while everything is crumbling down. you're taking care of this church, but you're not taking care of your intimacy and your walk with God. Do you know what I mean? Like,
and yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. And that's why the husband and the wife have to be in the harvest field together. I mean, I get it. Some people get in relationships and it's like, yeah, he does his thing, I do my thing, and then, you know, every now and then we get together and do our thing. And it's like,
huh? Your face.
Okay. And that works for some people. It's more of a business partnership than it is a relationship. And okay, if that's what you want, but if something else is, if there's a longing for something more, this more connection, more togetherness, more union, then it has to go beyond handling spiritual things separately. No. And
Oh my gosh, hold on
yourself by yourself, but when you work on yourself by yourself for someone else, it's a different kind of devotion and dedication. Like, I'm doing this inner work for me, but you benefit too. You know, like, I got to do the work. You might be able to, as my wife and helpmate, might be able to point to it and say, my king, here's what I see. Here's what the Spirit says to me. But it's up to me to act on what you tell me. And so wisdom is one thing, but power to act on the wisdom is another. And so we get our spiritual strength from acting on the word. Be doers of the word and not just hearers only. My God. And when we start to do doers and not just in the word, we start to be doers in our relationship. We start to be doers in our marriage. Like, but we have to be hearers first and then doers. And so I think men are missing the mark because they're not hearing. They're not hearing God. And so that's why they forget. You're not hearing the reminder, brother. You're not hearing the reminder. And you have to get quiet enough inside to hear God speak.
We're reading a book, and we're reading a book together. And in that part, there's in the first part of it, it talks about how a man could have family. They could have all types of stuff in their life. They could have everything, and that they will still like find this unhappiness, and that they have to have this mission. And I know that when we talked, you had said, you know, yeah, you know, because you're waiting for your wife, and you're like, but no, nonetheless, I'm just mission focused. We're gonna like wrap up in that. I'm almost like, do we need to do a part 3? But I don't want to stop the flow right now, because you know what I'm talking about. So go ahead and tell me, like, because I found that so interesting in the book, to know that a man could have everything, even supposedly, you know, happiness with his wife, whatever. But still, it's like this inner mission. What is that mission? Is that like your mission with God? Is that like your calling? Because you're talking about doing the same thing as far as, you know, a wife and a husband or whatever are gonna come together, not be business partners. So what do you mean by that?
For a man without a mission has no direction. And if he has no direction, he has no way to channel his energy. And if he doesn't have a way to channel his energy, he's going to misappropriate it. He's going to misuse his energy. Having a mission gives a man an intention. When he has an intention, he could use his will. When he could use his will, he could unite his will with God. No mission, no will. No will, no purpose with God. No alignment. So he'll always feel out of alignment. He'll always feel out of harmony. because the universal flow will be hitting up against the wall, and that wall would be his pride. That wall would be his ego and identity, this avatar he's created himself to be. Oh, I'm so and so. So the mission is all important because a man can't exercise the power in him without a mission. He has to apply what's in him to something, the furtherance of something, the perpetuation of something, the creation of something. Man, it ain't just woman that gives birth. Man has to give birth.
Come on now. Yes.
Man got to give birth. He got to get pregnant with something.
Come on.
And until he does, he'll wander. He'll be a wandering pilgrim with no hope.
Wow. We have a lot of wandering men.
Yes.
And they latch on to whatever the woman is saying, but they have to have that conviction on their own.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's just like
because I'll say this.
It's just like them. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, because I'll say this, and I mean it respectfully. You are not your husband's mother. You are not his mother. You are his wife. You are his helpmate. You know, that's why we have to take our battles and those things and be intercessors of our home and have our walk with God. Otherwise, we'll find ourselves treating him like he's our son.
Yeah, it's easy because, again, women are brought up to be nurturers. You take care of people. You take care of things. You help. You heal. You know.
We enable.
You yes, and it turns into that. That's the extreme side of it. You know. And so, without that root, a woman easily loses herself in a man because she ain't lost in God, with the place where she's supposed to be lost.
I like how you threw that in there.
You can lose and find yourself in God, but you lose yourself in a man, oh, you ain't finding yourself for a while, baby. You
come on,
fire.
Because there's so much more just in the man. It's the fathering, it's the protecting, it's so much that a man, there's so much that a man brings. It's crazy.
And if I could just speak from the Black man really quickly, like, we really got it rough. I'm not asking for a pity party, but just generationally, when I look back at how, like when I just look at the Willie Lynch letters and look at how slaves were formed and what they did psychologically to slaves, to the Negro woman, by taking that big, strong black bull, breaking them down in front of the whole family, child, woman, and then stripping him of all his power. And then this is what they would do. They would negotiate. The slave master would do all the negotiations through the woman, the Black woman. They would give her the power of the household, basically. And so what the Negro woman would do is raise up her man to be, or her young boy to be, strong physically so he could do the work in the field, but weak mentally so he don't talk back and get broken down by the slave master, right? But she would raise her young woman to be strong and independent and a thinker and, you know, head of the household. And so this went, it was like once they trained them to do that, they didn't have to do it anymore. It was like breaking a horse. Like once you train them to do that, generationally, this is what all the Black mothers did with their children. And it just continued on, this mindset of, okay, let me raise my little Black girl to be this way and my little Black boy to be this way.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we still have this mentality of men being just emotionally bankrupt, but strong physically, you know? And so that's why they put all this value and, oh, look at how many women I slept with, or look at how many women I've got, or look at how much I own, or, you know, it's all a show, you know. But spirit doesn't do any of that. And so you talk about love not being boastful. Men are naturally boastful. Right? So the black man, men in general, have to really challenge what the modern man is. I welcome you. Are we still recording? Men, brothers.
Yeah. Yes, we're recording.
Brothers, look at my eyes. Look at them. Challenge what it means to be a man. Challenge your other brothers. Challenge your own daddy. Challenge yourself. Redefine what it means to be a man. If you were recreating yourself, you get to pick the ingredients, bruh.
Yeah.
The qualities that you want. Imagine your highest vision. Oh, how noble would you be? How honorable, how kingly, how wise, how giving, how merciful. What would you be like? And then be it. Pretend to be it. Act as if you are already that today. Don't wait. Don't delay. Mold those qualities, but you have to pick them first. Choose who you want to be. You don't have to be the way you are right now. Many people fall victim to this. This is just the way I am. This is just the way it is. No, it ain't. The devil, plain and lie. It's a trick. You don't have to be the way you are.
Or people don't change, and
yeah,
this doesn't happen. And I'm thinking, or it takes a long time. I've heard that.
No.
It takes a long time for people to change. I'm thinking, no, some things happen instantly. And some things, yes, might take longer, but in God's presence. Yeah, but in God's presence, it's not what you think.
Well, think about what we're talking about. If all we're talking about is a realization, how long does a realization take? When you have an aha moment, how long does it take?
Right.
Have an epiphany, how long does it take? It's lightning, baby. When you have a revelation, how long does it take? It's like, oh. Right?
Yeah.
So if people like to say I'm a work in progress. To me, even that can be a hoax. Be careful. It's a slippery slope, because what you're doing is giving yourself an allowance to take longer to get to where you need to be.
Oh.
Working process. I'll be there one day.
It's like that excuse, that justification of like, I'm just not there yet.
Right. Why? Why are you not there yet? Let's talk about it, you know, and then we see how we're holding our own self up. How we're holding, we holding ourselves hostage.
That's a new way to look at it. You are so
Watch this. Not only are we holding ourselves hostage, we're the jailer, the one that's in jail, and the one with the key. So we're like it's like we're the judge, the jury, and the executioner.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Yo, that'll preach. That'll preach. Oh my gosh.
The battle's not yours, man.
Wow.
Vengeance ain't yours, man. Give it up. Give up yourself. The highest thing you can do, my man, is give up your life. You think you're so big and bad, you're a tough guy, give up your life to love. I dare you. You're so bad, you're so tough. Give up your life to love. Love somebody who ain't deserving of love. Be kind to somebody who's not a kind person. Love your enemy. Love the one that offends you and persecutes you. Love the one that wishes you harm. Love the one that's competing against you. Love the one who wants to take from you. Man, oh man, show me your spiritual muscle. Show me your divine muscle. Alpha, show me the omega. Alpha man. Oh, you just alpha? Oh, okay. Let me know when you're ready to be reconciled with both.
Mm.
Let me know when you really want some power.
Right. And it's a decision. It's a decision. Like, I've noticed that God's love is a decision that you make. You decide all the things that it talks about, patient, kind, all those things. Those are all things you have to decide. They're not emotions. You never feel like it.
Damn it.
Yeah, you don't feel like it. It's just you make a decision to say, I'm going to do this right now. That's it.
You know why that's so difficult? People do not know how to think above the way they feel. And so you get stuck in the feeling and the emotion because you can't think higher than how you feel. Meaning, if I feel down in the dumps and someone says to me, oh man, it'll be okay, think positive. I can think positive, but if I don't feel positive, I'm negating the process. So faith is higher than a feeling, but if you lack faith, you will be ensnared by the feeling. And so what you said is so important, because if you say to somebody, well, it's not based on how you feel, well, they say, well, what can I do? This is how I feel. What do you want me to do? What we're really saying is, you got to go higher.
That's a level of maturity that most are not willing.
Right. Because they feel justified in the emotion. Let me tell you what they did to me. Let me tell you what they said about me. It doesn't matter.
But when I realized that the phrase, the hurting people hurt people, and that, you know, there's a level of compassion that I can, if I see everybody through the eyes of what God sees. If I truly have that love and I'm walking in it, and I could look at people from that perspective with God's eyes and not my natural perspective and my nature and not my pain and not all what daddy did to me and what all the other stuff. But if I could truly just put on God's eyes for that moment, I can say, you know what? I forgive you, not because you deserve it, not because you didn't hurt me, not because of any of those things.
And not because what you did was okay.
And not because you're, but I forgive because I have compassion and I understand, you know, and that's hard. That's so hard for people.
What we're saying is, the easiest thing to do is the hardest thing to do. Think about what we're saying. What we're saying is the kindergarten golden rule: treat others as you would like to be treated.
Thank you, baby.
And people can't do it.
My baby brought me food. And tea. Oh, that I needed. Whew, go ahead. I love you.
Surrounded by angels. So the simplest thing to do becomes the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
Why? Because of this.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Logic, reason, thoughts, ideas, concepts, constructs, belief system, like all this myriad of crap.
Mm-hmm.
Layers and layers and layers of conditioning. And, well, what about this?
And that's why we have to be so broken and stripped.
Yes.
I remember this story, and I know that we have to like wrap up because we could talk forever. But I remember this story, and it was so powerful. So this woman went on, I think it was Sid Roth, and she went on the show, and she was sitting by this man, and she was calling him her son and loving on him, and she talked about how she, you know, he was in jail, and she fasted, she prayed, she went and saw him, she became his mother figure.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, she says, he's the one who murdered my daughter. So he murdered her daughter. That was her daughter's boyfriend. And God said, that is going to be your son. And she was like, And he was like, you need to forgive. No. This man is such a powerful man of God. He is, I think he's like a biker, tattoo. I mean, nothing like you would normally. When I tell you, he ministers, saves lives, and has done so much because of her forgiveness and the mother's love, who murdered her her daughter. Now, it didn't make sense. She didn't want to, but because her love and her bond with Papa was so strong, she denied everything within herself to say, I lay it at your feet. That's just, that thing blew me away. I watched it over and over, and I thought to myself, what?
Luke 9:23 says, and then he said to them all, whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves.
Yeah.
That denial of yourself.
It's no joke.
That's what's going to keep me from saying what I want to say to you, what I really want to say. That's what's going to keep me from doing what I really want to do to you. You know, that's our restraint. We must have restraint. And so discipline is only truly learned, to me, when we begin to discipline ourselves through denying ourselves. It's just like when someone wants to lose weight, it's really the same principle. You deny yourself that cupcake when you really want it. You deny yourself, that extra portion, that second plate you want it, Addiction to something. You deny going to that place where you would normally get that thing, whatever it is, you start to deny stuff when you don't want to go to a certain place. So that goes back to mission. When man don't got no mission, he can't deny himself. He's going to be a hedonist. He's going to be in the world.
He's going to be rogue.
Soaking it up.
Son. But I learned so much that it wasn't until the time that I completely gave everything. When I completely gave, whether I would do business, everything. I gave everything and I laid it at his feet, and I did it. I had to do it daily for months, because I had to intentionally say, I lay it at your feet. I release this. I release my children. I release everything. And once I got to that place, one day I said it, but it was already here. Like, it was done. Like, I knew that it was here finally, even though I said it over and over. It took time. When I finally released it and said, it is all yours. I am nothing. You are enough. If all I do is never do anything again and just read your word, it is enough. When I got to that point, Papa said, here you go. I've been waiting to give you that big teddy bear that we were talking about. Yeah, I was waiting to give you this the whole time, but you had to release this little teddy bear, right? But we were talking about that. And you had to release that. And then all of a sudden it was like, it was like all the stuff that I thought I was denying of myself. He was really wanting to give it to me, but he wanted me to steward it differently. He wanted me to trust him. He wanted me to partner him. So he'll give it back. He'll give it back.
Tenfold. He'll get that thing back tenfold. I will do exceedingly and abundantly
more than you could ever
think and feel and do. Man, exceedingly abundantly. Give me some of that, Jesus. What? You said something very profound. You said, I kept saying it. I kept saying it. You was the woman with the issue of blood.
Come on.
touch but the hem of his garments. And now I got 2 people in front of me. Let me get them out of the way. If I could just touch but the hem of his garment. Damn, I have 3 more people in the crowd. Let me get them out of the way. If I could, and she kept saying it, moving people out the way, trying to get to the hem. Excuse me. And kept saying it until she got there. Touched it, whoop, virtue went out of him. My God.
And I can't imagine how many, she was on the ground, on her knees. I can't imagine how many people were stepping on her and pushing her and trampling on her.
Come on.
And all she could think of was, I need to touch the hem. She was so focused.
She had a mission. And then guess what he said at the end?
But she got his attention.
Woman, your faith has healed you. Not your crawling on the ground, your faith. So here it is. You said, I kept saying it, and then it was here. That was him saying, woman, your faith has brought this to you. Woo! Got faith?
I could hear that all day. I could hear it all day. Come on. Lord, Lord, Lord. All right, everyone. We could almost forget that. I almost forgot that we were in a podcast for a second. Oh, Lord, have mercy. I love it.
Take over.
He takes over. He takes over. And I love bringing you the rawness and the realness and the openness, and just, I love it because you guys got a glimpse of how I talk with my girls and how I talk behind the scenes. I remember I could be on the phone 2-3 hours and we're sitting there. We've gone from crying, weeping, praising, dancing. It's crazy. We just go all over the place and we're excited, running around the house. I remember being like running up and down the house outside, because like you get the revelation and you're just like, that's the kind of friends that you need. That's the surrounding that you need. That's the conversations, the intimate conversations that you need.
They edify you.
They do. They edify you. And I remember when I first had met my husband, that's all we did. Like we would fall asleep with the phone and talking about the things of God. That's why I was able to trust him. That's why I was able, it wasn't him, it was the God in him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so
I'm
telling you, it's a whole nother level.
That's a whole new man. Hey, that ain't no ordinary. A man that has God ain't no ordinary man.
No.
You got you a supernatural man. Man.
But see, the thing is, you lose this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You lose this. So
then we become a house divided.
Cannot stand.
Come on.
All right. Well, my beloved friend, author, teacher, speaker, I'm going to keep declaring that over you every time we talk. I'm going to text you, author, teacher, speaker, author, teacher, speaker. And I'm so blessed to have been able to just talk to you and hear your heart, because you allowed God to be a vessel. It's really cool. It's really, really cool to just, again, see where you've come from. I am so proud of you. I am so, so proud of you. And even though you're younger, I won't call you a baby. See, he tried to call me an old lady. I'm like, I'm only 3 months away from you. But it's my pleasure to continue walking with you and seeing where God takes you in your journey, and your books. And I said books.
I love when you put that S on the end of book.
You know I did, with an S.
Make it a series, God. Make it a series.
There you. Oh, I didn't look at you. Look at you. In agreement. Everybody was.
Make it a volume, God. My God.
A volume. I thank you, God, for this man, and and bringing him back into my life, and showing me him, because I can see how you work, and I can see your goodness. I can see your miracle signs and wonders from seeing the end from the beginning. Like it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, and I love it. And I'm so pleased to know that there's going to be men that are going to be transformed and changed by who you are.
I'm looking for them.
Yeah. And they're going to come to you. And I'm going to end up prophesying over you. So, let's I love it. I love it. Thank you, guys. I'm going to put all the information around here that you can find and connect with this man of God, and be able to pre-order his book. I'm going to get it out there. Oh, look at the little man or girl. I see purple.
Little girl.
Little girl. Oh, the lady in his life.
Yeah.
Besides the gym.
She treat me so good.
She treats you so good.
Unconditional.
Yes. All right. I love you guys. God bless you. Until next time.